If you want to hear my first Pan That Palette project update for 2021, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène and welcome back, or if it's your first time, welcome to HMM Makeup or Makeup. I am excited to bring you an update on my Pan That Palette project, which includes 2 palettes this year. And this one was the voted in palette to accompany my Smashbox Matte Exposure. And if you're not familiar with what this palette looks like, you'll know right away why I needed a companion palette. So let's start with this big guy, which I have been working on. This is the 3rd year that I work on this palette. And we'll get rid of the brush. And this is what it looks like at this point. And if you have been following along, you will already know what the major changes are. And if you have not been following along, I will have progress pictures for you. So I am going to put a picture of the progress I had last update, which was essentially the kickoff of this Pan That Palette for 2021. And as you can see on screen, what you're going to be able to see right away is that I have no more Franken shadow in here. That has been completely panned. I was using it as eyeshadow, I was using it as bronzer, I was using it all over whichever way I could. Not wasting product. I am not about that with the Pan That Palette kind of project, but using it in ways that were flattering for my complexion and for the looks I was doing. But if I needed a bronzy kind of a shadow, like a bronzer, well then I would use that one in the crease, outer lid, on the cheeks, on the forehead, and it worked really, really well. One that I have not touched at all is this one this past period, because what I realized was it is very much like the butter bronzer. And so what I want to do is I want to focus on the butter bronzer that I have in my panning project, my just monthly rolling project pan. Use that up, and then I can finish up this eyeshadow to continue on with a very, very similar color that as I am paler and paler throughout the winter, that it's just going to be a better and better match for bronzing powder. So that's my plan here. This one here, you will see a significant change compared to last period. I use this powder, which is Sumatra, in my brows. So I have Sumatra in my brows right now, and I intend to continue to use it that way. Blackberry I have used as a deepening shadow on the outer lid and outer crease. When I don't have a particular need for a specific color, I will use Blackberry because it's just an easy color to use. And I would use it similarly to what I have here, but today I have Black Plum, which is this one right here. So today I used these guys and this one in my brow. So those are the ones that I used from this palette today. And let me show you what I used in the Buxom palette. The two, well actually I used 3. I used this shadow once, and then I used these 2 shadows in virtually every look this past month. This one to set my eye primer when I was using a primer, and then this one as a brow bone and sometimes inner corner highlight for a number of looks. So these 2 have had the most usage in the palette. And then this one was a casual use, one time for sure, maybe twice, but I'm really focusing more on these shadows here because they are a good complement to these Smashbox Matte Exposure shadows that are a lot deeper. I have been tempted to wander more into these 2, and I think I will. These 2 I won't touch really right away because if I look at the matte exposure, these 2 are not that different. So I would rather focus on these two as opposed to the two in the Buxom Suede Seduction palette because, well, these are older and it makes more sense to use those first. So that is where I'm at. I think I've talked enough about my plan. I did mention that I wanted to start using this purple shade more, and it's nice to have a little bit of variety because I'm down to 6 shadows in here. I mean, I need to use more of everything that I have, for the most part, left relatively untouched, especially these 3 have had the least amount of love of anything else that is left in this palette. So I'm really wandering over to the other side of the palette at this point. So I think you know what my approach is. Use the Smashbox Matte Exposure first. Complement as needed with the Buxom Suede Seduction. And really focus on trying to get the Smashbox Matte Exposure done. When I look at the Buxom Suede Seduction, it is not a hard palette to work on as a pan matte palette. All of these eyeshadows are pretty easy to use in my opinion, and it would work as a companion palette for panning just about any palette. So my number 1 is focusing on the Smashbox Matte Exposure, and I will just use this one up as it makes sense to support the use of the Smashbox Matte Exposure. I hope that makes sense, and it's been working for me so far. As I show you the weights in the progress pictures that are coming, I think that you will see about a 0.6 gram change from the previous update or the intro to this 2021 project. And 0.6 grams for about a month's use, I'm pretty happy with that. If I can get a 0.5 gram every update, every month, then I will be done with the Smashbox Matte Exposure by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be trying a ton of palettes this year, but when I am not doing a first impressions or a repeat attempt with a given palette, I will be using the Smashbox Matte Exposure, the Buxom Suede Seduction, along with anything else to kind of amp up a look. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I am not tired of the matte exposure by any means. I think that Smashbox eyeshadows are terrific. As a matter of fact, I got the LA cover shot last year because I want to have Smashbox eyeshadows in my collection. I think they're very good, and I'm having a lot of fun. If you have some suggestions for some looks given the two palettes I'm working on, I would love to hear if you have some suggested approaches to using those shadows or some suggested combinations. I'm all ears, and I hope to give you as great of a progress report during the next update, but I guess we will see how it goes. I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it every single time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.